Yo, what's up? It's your girl Lled. I'm tapping in with y'all, telling y'all my new single "lled" just dropped on all streaming platforms. Make sure y'all go check that out on YouTube, Apple Music, or Spotify, wherever you want to go to listen to it. My EP will be dropping soon. Make sure y'all check that out too. Just stay tuned. I love y'all.
A young woman full of ambition. A rising star in the music scene. A community activist committed to saving lives. And then, she was gone. Breneisha Lightfoot was more than just an aspiring rapper. She was a daughter, a friend, and a woman determined to make a difference. Through her music, she shared her story, her struggles, and her dreams. Off stage, she dedicated herself to helping others, working with an organization that taught children how to respond to life-threatening injuries. But in July 2023, everything changed. Breneisha stopped answering calls. She missed plans with loved ones. Days passed with no sign of her. Concern turned to fear, and soon, police were knocking on her door. What they found inside sent shockwaves through her family and community. Authorities launched an urgent search, following a trail of disturbing clues. Then came the discovery no one wanted to believe. Breneisha's life had been stolen from her, and the person responsible was someone she once trusted. This is the heartbreaking story of Breneisha Lightfoot, a woman with so much to give, taken far too soon. Welcome to Crime Berry Stories. Every victim deserves their story to be told, and our mission is to shed light on these cases while also enlightening others who may be in similar situations. Breneisha Lightfoot was born and raised in Bedford, Ohio, a small city just outside of Cleveland. From an early age, she stood out. She had an energy about her, bold, confident, and unapologetically herself. Her love for music wasn't just a passing interest. It was a passion that shaped her identity. She poured herself into her craft, writing lyrics that reflected her reality and experiences. On stage, she performed under the name lled, a moniker that matched her larger-than-life personality. She had dreams of making it big, not just for herself, but for the people who believed in her. But music was only part of her story. Breneisha had a heart for her community. She wasn't the kind of person who watched from the sidelines. She wanted to make a difference, and she did. She became involved with the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, an organization that taught children how to treat gunshot wounds, knife wounds, and bomb injuries. In a city where violence was all too common, she understood the importance of education and preparedness. She took that work seriously. She showed up. She helped train kids. She used her voice to spread awareness. Breneisha had people in her life who loved her deeply. Her family, her friends, and those who worked alongside her saw her for who she truly was, someone with ambition, drive, and compassion. But there was also another person in her life. Someone who would change everything. Michael Roarty-Nugent. A name that would later be at the center of the tragedy. He wasn't a household name, but to Breneisha, he was someone she knew well. They were in a relationship, though the details of their time together remain complex. What is known is that their relationship had its share of problems. Michael Roarty-Nugent was 32 years old, older than Breneisha by several years. Unlike her, he wasn't known for making a positive impact in the community. His background wasn't in music or activism. He wasn't someone people associated with hope or inspiration. And while their relationship wasn't in the public eye, those close to Breneisha knew it wasn't perfect. There were warning signs. Friends and family had concerns. But no one could have predicted what was coming. July 2023 should have been a time of celebration for Breneisha Lightfoot. It was the week of her birthday, a moment that should have been filled with laughter, music, and the people she loved. But instead of answering calls and messages from friends and family, Breneisha was silent. At first, no one panicked. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she was out of town. But as the hours turned into days, the silence became impossible to ignore. Breneisha was always active on social media. She kept in touch with friends. She made plans. She showed up for the people who mattered to her. But now, she wasn't responding. Calls went straight to voicemail. Texts were left unread. People started asking questions, reaching out to each other, trying to figure out if anyone had seen or heard from her. Her family knew something was wrong. This wasn't like her. She wouldn't just disappear. The growing unease turned into urgency, and they made the decision to report her missing. On July 18, 2023, a concerned family member reached out to the Bedford Police Department. They hadn't heard from Breneisha Lightfoot, and with her birthday approaching, this silence was alarming. It was uncharacteristic for Breneisha, known for her vibrant personality and dedication to her community. The police were asked to perform a welfare check at her apartment. Upon arriving at her home, officers noticed signs that something was amiss. They found evidence indicating that someone may have been seriously injured inside the apartment. This discovery raised immediate concerns for Breneisha's safety. As they began to piece together the situation, they found her phone discarded in the yard of a nearby home, further deepening the mystery surrounding her disappearance. As the investigation unfolded, Michael Roarty-Nugent emerged as a person of interest. He was Breneisha's boyfriend, and his past raised red flags. With a criminal history spanning over a decade that included charges related to domestic violence, drugs, and weapons, he was quickly apprehended by the police on July 21, just days after Breneisha was reported missing. The search for Breneisha intensified as days passed without any sign of her. Family and friends feared the worst as they rallied together to support one another during this harrowing time. The community felt the weight of the uncertainty, hoping for a miracle but preparing for the possibility of tragedy. Tragically, on July 21, 2023, Breneisha Lightfoot's body was discovered in Cleveland's Slavic Village neighborhood, specifically around East 64th Street and Francis Avenue. The location was not far from where her belongings had been found. The news sent shockwaves through her community and left family and friends grappling with an overwhelming sense of loss. Breneisha was not just a victim. She was a talented artist known as lled, who used her platform to advocate for change in her community through initiatives like the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team. Her untimely death raised questions about domestic violence and its impact on individuals and families. As investigators delved deeper into the case, they faced the challenge of uncovering the truth behind her tragic end while honoring the memory of a young woman who had so much potential and promise. Michael Roarty-Nugent's background paints a troubling picture. Over the course of a decade, he accumulated a significant criminal record that included charges related to domestic violence, drug offenses, and weapons possession. His history of violence raised serious concerns among those who knew Breneisha Lightfoot, as family members reported that he had been abusive towards her in the past. This history set the stage for the tragic events that would unfold. Following Breneisha's disappearance, Roarty-Nugent was interrogated by law enforcement. During this intense questioning, he initially confessed to shooting Breneisha on July 17, 2023, in the early morning hours. His confession provided investigators with a chilling insight into the circumstances surrounding her death, but it also raised questions about the details of his account. As the interrogation progressed, inconsistencies began to emerge, leaving detectives to sift through his statements for the truth. Key evidence played a crucial role in the investigation. Forensic findings from the apartment where Breneisha was last seen indicated signs of a violent struggle. Additionally, witness statements from those familiar with both Breneisha and Roarty-Nugent corroborated claims of past abuse and provided context for their tumultuous relationship. This combination of evidence not only solidified Roarty-Nugent's role in Breneisha's death, but also highlighted the broader issue of domestic violence that often remains hidden until it is too late. As law enforcement pieced together the events leading up to Breneisha's tragic end, it became clear that Michael Roarty-Nugent's violent past and his actions on that fateful night would have lasting repercussions, not only for him but for all who loved and cared for Breneisha Lightfoot. Initially, Michael Roarty-Nugent faced a murder charge in connection with Breneisha Lightfoot's death. The severity of this charge reflected the violent nature of the crime and the potential for a life sentence. Roarty-Nugent's court appearances were marked by tension and heightened emotions. During one of these appearances, he entered a plea of not guilty. The court set his bond at $2 million, indicating the gravity of the charges and the risk that he might flee if released. Ultimately, Judge Dina R. Calabrese found Roarty-Nugent guilty of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. This verdict reflected a determination that while Roarty-Nugent may not have intentionally murdered Breneisha, his actions directly led to her death and the subsequent mishandling of her body. On February 29, 2024, Michael Roarty-Nugent was sentenced to serve between 23 to 28.5 years at Lorraine Correctional Institution. This sentence came after he was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse in connection with Breneisha Lightfoot's tragic death. The judge's decision aimed to ensure that Roarty-Nugent would face significant consequences for his actions, reflecting the severity of the crime and the impact it had on Breneisha's family and community. The reaction from Breneisha's friends and the wider community was one of deep sorrow and anger. Many expressed their grief over her loss and their frustration with the circumstances that led to it. Sunsir Shakur, who worked closely with Breneisha on the Wolfpack gunshot response team, shared his feelings candidly. He said, "It's still very hard to digest. Her death is very hard to digest." Shakur emphasized how much Breneisha meant to the initiative and how her absence left a void that would be difficult to fill. "Breneisha was a big part of that," he recalled. "The children loved her here." Despite the pain of losing Breneisha, her colleagues have committed themselves to continue her work in her honor. They remain dedicated to teaching young people about gunshot wound response and other critical life-saving skills through the Wolfpack gunshot response team. This initiative not only serves as a tribute to Breneisha's legacy but also aims to prevent further violence in their community, ensuring that her spirit lives on through their efforts. As the community mourns the loss of a vibrant young woman who had so much potential, they also rally together to honor her memory by advocating for change and supporting one another in these challenging times. The impact of Breneisha Lightfoot's life and tragic death continues to resonate within Cleveland, reminding everyone of the importance of community support and awareness surrounding issues of domestic violence. Breneisha Lightfoot, known in the music world as lled, was a passionate and talented artist who captured the hearts of many in her community. Her music was more than just entertainment. It was a reflection of her experiences, her struggles, and her dreams. With over 23,000 followers on Instagram, she frequently shared videos of her performances and new singles, showcasing her unique style and lyrical prowess. lled's work resonated with fans, as she poured her heart into every verse, using her platform to connect with others and express herself authentically. But Breneisha was not just a rapper, she was also a dedicated advocate for her community. She joined the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, an organization focused on providing immediate assistance to gunshot victims while they awaited emergency services. This commitment to helping others demonstrated her deep compassion and desire to make a difference in the lives of young people facing violence in their neighborhoods. Her colleagues remembered her as someone who brought light and energy to their mission, emphasizing that she was not only skilled but also deeply invested in the well-being of those around her. Through her music and advocacy work, Breneisha Lightfoot left an indelible mark on her community. Her legacy continues to inspire those who knew her, reminding everyone of the importance of using one's voice for positive change. As her friends and colleagues carry on her work with the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, they honor her memory by striving to create a safer environment for young people and promoting awareness about violence prevention. Breneisha's story serves as a powerful reminder of the impact one individual can have on their community, even when their time is tragically cut short. The news of Breneisha Lightfoot's death sent shockwaves through her community. In Bedford and Cleveland, people struggled to make sense of the loss. A young woman with so much life ahead of her was gone. Friends, family, and strangers alike mourned her passing. Fellow artists paid tribute, sharing her music and celebrating her talent. Community members who had worked alongside her in the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team spoke of her dedication, her passion, and the lives she had touched. She wasn't just another statistic. She was a person who had worked to protect others, and now she had become a victim of the very violence she had hoped to prevent. But Breneisha's story didn't end with her death. Her impact remained. She had used her voice to uplift and inspire. She had taken action to create change. Her absence was felt deeply, but so was her legacy. Her case also became part of a larger conversation, one that couldn't be ignored. Domestic violence isn't rare. Intimate partner violence affects millions, and too often, the warning signs are overlooked or dismissed. The statistics are staggering. In the United States, nearly 1 in 3 women experience physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. Many never make it out. There are resources for those in danger. The National Domestic Violence Hotline offers support 24/7. Shelters and advocacy groups work every day to help those trying to escape. But awareness is key. Stories like Breneisha's serve as a reminder that abusive relationships can have deadly consequences. No one should have to live in fear. No one should have to wonder if they'll make it out alive. Breneisha Lightfoot had a promising future ahead of her, one filled with music, activism, and dreams. She was building a name for herself, using her talent to inspire and her heart to help others. But her life was cut short by someone she once trusted. A life that should have been filled with possibility was stolen in an act of violence that never should have happened. Justice was served in the courtroom. A conviction. A prison sentence. But no amount of years behind bars can bring her back. Her family will never get to see her reach the heights she was destined for. Her community will never get to hear the music she had yet to create. What remains is the memory of who she was and the impact she had in her time here. Breneisha's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. If you or someone you know is in an unsafe situation, help is available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is open 24/7 at 800-799-7233. No one has to go through this alone. If this case moved you, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe for more in-depth true crime stories. Let's keep these conversations going, because awareness can save lives.